Hey guys, Magic Made Easy here, and today I wanted to teach you guys a little bit about forcing. Now before we start, this is the Green Monarch deck from Theory 11. I just want to throw that out there. Once again, I'm not sponsored by them or anything, I just really love their cards and I think that everyone should pick up a set. I'll leave a link down in the description if you are interested in picking up your own. The box looks like this. It's definitely very, very good. The cards are very high quality. I would recommend them to just about anybody who wants to do anything with cards, or if you just want something nice to have. So today we're going to learn a bit about forcing, and what forcing is making somebody select a card. So if you stop anywhere in a deck, you can make them pick a card like that, and that feels very free usually for your spectator. But what if I do it again? If I just go ahead and I take a card, and well, that's the same card. And that's how forcing works. It's creating a situation where the spectator must pick a specific card. And now it can be used for a lot of wonderful effects. It can be used from anything from taking a card and revealing it somewhere, or making a prediction happen, or anything that you can really think of. But it's a good use for making it look like you're psychic with a normal deck of cards. So I'm going to be teaching you a few basic forces. Now that's not all of them. There's tons. You can think of plenty on your own, I assure you. But these are some of the ones that I like to use. These are some of the ones that I've picked up and some of the ones that I've heard about. So let's start with the one that I showed. I'm going to be using the top card of the deck revealed for this, so you understand the mechanics behind it. So the force that I used at the beginning is called the top glide, and the way the top glide works is very simple. You have the spectator stop anywhere they want on the deck, and you go and you give them a card. Now, since you've seen that from the top view, you notice that there's something up here. And as the name implies, you're gliding the top card off of the deck, and you are loading it to the top. Just like that. So, allow me to show you how that works. You see, as you go down the cards, you build up a little bit of a stack here, and that works to your favor. So, when the spectator stops somewhere in the middle of the deck, just like that, what you do is you say, alright, and you break the top cards off, and you push on that top card with your fingers right here. Make contact with it, make it nice and solid, and you just pull up. And it doesn't matter if you got a couple extra cards in there, because ultimately what you're trying to do is you're just trying to get the top card on the top of the bottom pile. And that's all you need to do for that. It's very basic. Sometimes people will catch it, so be careful with that, but it works a lot in your favor. Now, the next force that I'm going to teach you is called the cull force. And the cull force is a bit more insidious. It's a lot harder to see, but you're going to usually do this one when you have some format of distraction or slight, so you'll be talking with your spectator, because this is a setup move. Now, the setup move takes this into account, where you're going to be taking a card off the top of the deck and then loading it underneath the rest. You then spread the cards like so that they have a free selection, and you just simply tell your spectator, tap the back of any card that you want, and they'll go ahead and they'll tap, let's say right there. You cut the cards off and you tap them closed, and what you've got is you've got your force card right there. Now, how that works is really simple. When you've got it in that position, you're going to go and you're going to spread the cards out and keep this card as almost a bailing unit. Like you'd hold all the cards together, and you've got it underneath here just like that, so you can see. Well, when they go and they stop, they'll select a card, and what you've done is you've basically made a card sandwich between all of the cards up here and the card at the bottom. So when you square off, what you do is you actually load this card to the bottom. It looks very free, and it feels like they've had a good selection. They can do whatever they want with it. But in reality, you force the card on them. Sorry about that. Now, moving on to that, there are different versions that you can do with a cull force. One of the ones that I personally like to use is called the gravity force. And the way the gravity force works is, well, you take it from the bottom instead. There's no real reason, I think, for the name at all. You just kind of do it. And the gravity force works very much like this. You go and you take and you've stripped that bottom card off just like that by contacting the bottom, and then you just do this, and it looks very natural. It's not difficult to catch, but very few people will usually think something's up. So that's how the gravity force works. You just do the same process as your cull force, and you should be able to use it. Now, a lot of people will ask, well, what if I can't do sleight of hand? And don't worry, there are forces for this occasion. There are a great many forces, such as the count force. And the count force works like this. We're going to keep the card up there. So say the spectator asks you have the spectator count or name any number of cards in the deck that they want. In this case, we'll use 10. So you'd count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, using this information, you can go and you can split the cards into however many piles you want. You can go and you can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now you'll have them do what's called Magician's Choice. And they will go and they will select one of two piles. Just say pick one of these 2 piles. And in this instance, we're going to have them choose our selected pile. And then what you do is you simply keep that pile and you throw the other cards away because you don't need them. But what you can do instead is if they choose this pile, the one that doesn't have your card, is you can simply say, all right, we're going to throw that pile away. We're going to use this one. And it feels very natural. They feel like they've had a choice. Don't tell them what you're going to do beforehand, because then you'll be caught into it and then you'll have to go with that choice. So then using that, all you need to do is just take the top card. And there is one of your forces. There are other ones that you can do, such as the random nature force. The random nature force is good. You can have the spectator, or you usually, actually, that's how I like to do it. Spectators can mess things up. But they take any random cards and they want. In this case, we're going to use 6 random cards from the deck. I don't care, right? It doesn't matter. But what you're doing is you pay very careful attention to where your force card is located in this group, right? And you make sure that you have the force card in this group. It's the same process as Magician's Choice with all of the other forces that don't require a sleight of hand. And what you do is you have them select a row or columns, your choice, it doesn't matter. Usually I have them select 2 columns, or I have them select a row first. I don't usually like to go column by column because that just looks suspicious. So what I would do is I would say, all right, well, this is what we're going to do. I want you to go ahead, I want you to pick a row. All right, well, they'll pick the row with your force card, and if not, you know what to do. If they pick this one, just say, all right, we're going to get rid of this one. But if they pick the one with your force card, just say, all right, we're going to get rid of the row that you didn't pick. Feels very natural, feels very normal. And now you're left with 3 cards, and you say, pick 2 cards. And they'll go and they'll pick 2 cards. And it doesn't matter which 2 cards they pick, because you're still loading them with this card. And it works like this. So say they pick these 2. All right, we're going to get rid of this one. Now pick 1 more card, right? And that's kind of, you can see how it's going here. But if they choose these 2, worry not, because now you can just simply go right into the force card and you can say, alright, well, these are the 2 that we're going to get rid of this time. This is going to be your card, it's the one left. Let's go on with the trick. And that's how that works. So, if you have any further questions about that, feel free to ask down in the comments, or just message me directly. I can leave a link for my contact information if you want for anything like that. I also do private lessons and things like that for magic and developing your skills as a magician. I've got a whole host of things like that. But moving on to the next few forces. The next few forces actually do take a little bit of skill. Once again, this one is called the drop force, and the drop force is very good because it looks very natural. Now, sure, at this point, I think if anybody likes to play with cards, they know how to do this motion. They know how to dribble cards in that nature. This is one way that you can use to have a spectator select a card. You can say stop whenever you want, and then they'll stop on a card, right? In this instance, with our drop force, we abuse this, and we take a small break wherever we want in the deck. In this case, right here. So, using that, we get our little break, just like that, and you say, all right, tell me when to stop. And then you go down your cards, and whenever they say stop, right, what you do is instead you just release your break. And what that will do is it will load the top card. It will load that force card that you want. And it's very simple to do. It takes a little bit of practice, but I'm sure if you just mess around with your cards for a little bit, you'll eventually get the hang of it, and you'll learn to like that one. It's pretty difficult to catch. It just takes a little bit of setup, and it takes a little bit of knowledge on how to know what you're going to do. And I will cover very briefly in this video peeking, which is a way to acquire and know what card you're going to load. It's a lot easier than most people like to make it out to be. So, for that purpose, peeking, it's getting your force card. I just did it, so that's how it works. What you're doing is actually, if you notice, I'm actually holding the deck upside down, but I'm talking. So what people do is they get engaged with me. They get engaged with the speech and they try to maintain normal conversation flow. And what you do is you just do a little bit of a move on the top card, things like that, where you can see the value. That's all you need. You don't need to see the whole face of the card. You just need to know what the value in the suit is. That's all the information you care about. And now you're ready to do it. You can do a top card face, you can do a top card force, sorry, or you can do a bottom card force. It doesn't matter. You just have to get a peek on knowledge. Speaking of bottom forces, this is a perfect segue into this. I'm going to teach one that a friend of mine taught me at a bar once. It's definitely a good force. It works well if you really want to like start with sleight of hand, but you're not that great at it. And it works kind of like this. So they go and you riffle down the cards just like that, and then they stop wherever they want, and then you just go and you show them the card. And what I've done is I've taken, if you notice, this is our bottom card. I stripped the bottom card off, and that works like this. I can show you from the side here. So while you're going on, and they have the selected card, what they would have actually selected is right here. But what you're doing is you take your thumb, contact it with the bottom of the cards, and just like that, you're going to go ahead and you're going to pull it off and strip it down. And it doesn't really need to line up perfectly because a lot of people assume that cards are always just grouped together in kind of a ramshackle way. It's one of the fallacies of people, really. Even I do it sometimes. I've been doing Magic for 14 years, and I still forget that sometimes if a card is like a little crooked, like I forget about it. But those are some of the easier ones. There are more difficult ones out there that I don't prefer to use in the middle of my performances because they require too much work on the spectator's behalf, and they require too much knowledge of what they're going to do. One of those is the invisible force, which works very simply. I'll show it to you briefly. We're going to force this card. It requires a spectator to actually pull out and select a card, where they go and they pick any card they want, just like that. And that's how that one works. It looks very clean. It's probably the most clean out of all of the forces, but it requires so much interaction on the spectator's behalf that I just prefer to do something a lot more concrete, like a top glide or a cut force or something like that. Or, actually, speaking of which, I haven't shown you the cut force yet. I meant to say a call force, but that is a perfect, once again, segue into the cut force. And the cut force is a really novel one. It also takes no skill, but it doesn't go through all of the weird selections like anything else. So what you do is you can either use the bottom card as your force card, or you can use the top card as your force card. In this case, we're going to use the bottom card as our force card. And what you do is you have the spectator cut the cards anywhere. They go, they cut them down, and what you do is you crisscross the cards, right? You just put them on top of each other, make a little mark, and you say, all right, we're going to mark your cut, just so that we know where it is and I can't tamper with it. Now, what you're going to be doing this whole time is you actually talk to them. And the human brain has this very, very bad habit where it likes to rationalize things or forget little details in order to make the process a lot smoother. And if you talk to them long enough, they will eventually forget what you have done here. Now, using this, you can then say, well, here's the card that you cut to. I want you to make sure that you remember it. And what you've done is you've just shown them the bottom card of the deck, which you already know and you're already prepared to use. Because they forget this entire process. They forget that what they actually cut to is this card. But because you go and you talk to them a little bit, you distract them from the process of the magic trick, whatever you're doing with it, you make them believe that something else has transpired. And you say, all right, here's your card. And it takes no skill, it takes little to no practice, and it can be used pretty much immediately. The only caveat that you have behind this is that you have to distract the person. You have to talk with them, which I will also cover in a later video about communication and how patter works. But that's a little advanced right now for anybody watching this video. I think that most of what you should be doing right now, if you are watching a tutorial video like this, is you should be working on developing your skills and working on branching yourself out as a magician and as a performer. Or if you're just here to learn a quick card trick, you should learn to get the actual core mechanics of what you're doing down before you show it, which is always the golden rule with anything in Magic. Do it right and don't ever do it wrong in front of anybody. Now, beyond that, there are tons of other forces out there. This is by no means the comprehensive guide, but this is a great way to start into it. These are a ton of good forces that I recommend anybody use. I use them in my personal performances. They definitely help out, and they're a great toolkit to use. Like I said, in summary, the best ways that you can use a force are to create a situation where you look like you knew what the card was going to be beforehand, a magic reveal happens, or you have a loaded system that allows you to predict a card, or you simply need to know what the card is beforehand. One simple effect that I personally love to do is the psychic card. And the psychic card is very simple. Sorry, that's a weird enunciation. The psychic card. The psychic card works like this. You have your force card. You go, and you say, all right, what I want to do is I want to predict your card for you. It's a very quick effect. It's very simple. It won't take any more than a couple of seconds. Go ahead and pick any card that you want. Stop. All right, here's we go. So you go, you take the card, and now you already know this card. It doesn't matter what they stop at, what they do. Just try to get them somewhere in the middle. One way that I like to do this to make it so that spectators choose the middle grouping is the first time that I go through the deck of cards, I will say, all right, tell me when to stop. And I go, just like that. And what they'll do is they'll say, stop. And I'll be at the end of the deck and I'll go, great job. Now I know this was an easy one to do. And so then I'll have them start over and I'll say somewhere in the middle, better reflexes, and then you go a lot slower, and then they'll usually stop in the middle because they feel sheepish and things like that. And that's just a great way to develop yourself as a performer. Just make logical, rational reasons for everything you do with magic, because if you don't, then people will call into question. So beyond that, you just go, you say, all right, we've got our card. Now, I'm thinking, and then you just tell them their card. That's it. And this trick can be repeated an infinite number of times. You can go and all you need to do is just peek each time. Or you can then use it to transition into better effects. You can say, well, if you don't believe that I'm psychic from that, here, let's do something better. And then you go and you launch into more of your routine. So, beyond that, that is forcing, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. Please feel free to leave a like or a comment, and don't forget to subscribe to Magic Made Easy, your source for all things impossible. If you guys want me to cover anything else in the future, feel free to comment on it, send me a message, whatever you guys want. I'm here for your interest and here for your education. So, with that, you guys have a good evening, and enjoy the rest of your day.